All right, good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us for our second, what do we call it, Dr. Dorner, or
live
not video,
stream,
our virtual
board meeting? Yeah.
live stream virtual board meeting. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to observe the flag that's behind Dr. Dorner. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America
and
to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everyone. And we have 3 board members here. Mrs. Young was having a little difficulty, so hopefully she'll be able to join us. And Mr. Ricca is out today. So we'll begin with our reports, and first will be our superintendent, Dr. Dorner.
Hi, Dr. Lucero, President Lucero, members of the board. I'll keep it brief tonight because there are a number of agenda items Mr. Sherman will be sharing throughout the board. But I do want to follow up. Last time we spoke about graduation and that emotional component that folks are really anxious about. Will there be a graduation and what will it look like? We had a lot of feedback that people are really hopeful for a live graduation. Hi, Dr. Lucero, President Lucero, members of the board. I'll keep it brief tonight because there are a number of agenda items Mr. Sherman will be sharing throughout the board. But I do want to follow up. Last time we spoke about graduation and that emotional component that Kingman High School and Lee Williams High School, along with what PASS has already been doing, has a virtual graduation planned for the 18th Kingman High and the 20th Lee Williams. It's going to be awesome. All students had the opportunity to come to the school in their cap and gown. All of the speeches were recorded. All the components are there. And so I invite the board members and the community at 7 o'clock on the 18th and on the 20th to join the KUSD YouTube site for a live stream of the virtual graduation. And then we'll keep people posted as we monitor the community and the pandemic as to when a possible live graduation can occur. I also want to just give a brief shout out again to all of the schools. They've been collecting the distant learning packets and kind of closing down that phase and going into the grading phase and allowing families to come to the schools and spaced out intermittent times to pick up student items from the classrooms. And really appreciate the community support and the board support as we navigated this distant learning. Still unknown is, will school open in July? That's the number one question right now that we have. What's happening? Do we open on July 22nd? Again, we're monitoring on a very regular basis what's happening at the state. Some of the superintendents in Mojave County and myself will be in a meeting this Thursday with Superintendent Hoffman from the ADE. We have a whole list of questions. We're hoping for some guidance. In the meantime, our staff here at the district office is preparing a traditional launch calendar for the 22nd and a couple of minimally delayed and intermittently delayed calendars just to be prepared. So we're still working hard and making sure that everything goes as smoothly as it has thus far. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Dorner? I have one question. Have you considered delaying the start of school just
yes
now instead of waiting, or you just want to hear from the governor first?
Well, yes, and yes. So we're currently launching a survey to our families and our staff. We really want to know where our community's comfort level is right now. If you think of KUSD schools reopening in 8 weeks, especially since Arizona hasn't passed some of those crucial phases of the pandemic. So we're going to get a sense of what our community feels, and we are prepared. And Jerry and I worked on a calendar that could easily start August 17th and keep us in a pretty easy continuance of our typical schedule. But if we have to delay even further, let's say Labor Day, a lot of schools are looking at not starting until Labor Day. We are working on the logistics of that. But if it comes to that decision in the next couple of weeks, we'll schedule a board workshop so that this group can collaborate. I can give you the data from our families and our schools, and then together with our awesome board members, we can make that decision.
Yeah, it just seems like more waiting time would definitely be beneficial, that it couldn't hurt the situation. So just
right.
Yeah.
My only concern is if we say we're going to, right now we make a decision, let's delay it 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and then 6 weeks down the road, two or 3 or 4 weeks will make no difference. I don't want to have a stop, start kind of feel to it. So timing is super important. And I do think we should have a board workshop in a couple weeks to make those big decisions.
Sounds good. Any other questions for Dr. Dorner? Okay, item 5 is approval of routine orders of business. I'm sorry, was that Ms. Weiser? Did you have a
I was
comment?
just gonna, yes, please. I heard that there's going to be a drive-through to pick up diplomas on the 19th at KHS.
Yes.
Is there anything like that at Lee Williams?
The Lee Williams handed their diplomas out when the kids came for their cap and gown pictures.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item 5 is approval of routine orders of business.
I'll make that motion.
So we have a motion and second by Ms. Shumway. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item number 6, amendments to revised contract between KUSD number 20 and Superintendent Dr. Dorner.
So, Mr. President and members of the board, in 2019, Dr. Dorner was selected as the incoming superintendent and offered a 2-year contract for fiscal years 2019 and 2021. The provisions of the contract allow for compensation to be increased based on board-approved raises for the district and stipulates that any adjustments made to the contract be in the form of an amendment, which will become a part of the contract. So 2 adjustments are proposed for your consideration for the 2021 fiscal year. It is proposed Dr. Dorner's salary be increased by 6% for the 2021 school year, which is consistent with the increases for teachers, school-based administrators, and district-level administrators. It is also proposed item number 1 under performance-based compensation be removed. This item reads 50% of schools are A and B. This adjustment is being proposed since letter grades being assigned schools this year are for the previous 2 years, which precedes Dr. Dorner in her role as superintendent.
Thank you, Angela. Are there any questions or do we have a motion?
I will make the motion to approve.
I will second that.
We have a motion by Ms. Shumway, second by Ms. Weiser. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 7, approve adding the grade level UE to all of our elementary schools. This special UE grade level is for kindergarten, 5 years old by September 1st, Group B special education students. This Mrs. Woolsey?
Yeah, Mr. President, members of the board, we have had this approved for many years. Suddenly this year, the Department of Education has changed, they dropped us off of it. And so in order to get back on it, they said, give us your board minutes. Well, those board minutes, I'm assuming they were back when we first unified. So we just put it back on so we can get the ADM for those students.
Okay. Any questions or a motion?
I do have a question.
I have a question.
This grade
Ms.
level,
Shumway?
is at all the elementaries?
It's how you signify them in the synergy. It's our special needs. I have a piece of paper in your packet. It shows that autism, emotional disability, and several others. So that's the grade level. We've had it for years, and it simply just means that we will get more ADM money. It doesn't hurt us at all. It just helps us, and it's a code in the Synergy program.
Okay, so these students are in our normal classrooms or they're in our self-contained, but they have a distinction within our system.
Correct.
Okay. Do you have a question, Beth?
Yeah, my question had to do with, is this going to be a matter of when we're making sorry, my words are jumbling. But as far as ADE, will this be determined as of tonight when we do this tonight? Are we able to ratify it for an earlier date that it's needed, like for this whole school year?
As long as we get
Is
it
there a
approved
date
tonight,
sensitive?
it'll be for the whole school year.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mrs. Woolsey? Or a motion?
I will make the motion to approve.
Make the motion. I'll second.
Okay, motion by Ms. Shumway, second by Ms. Weiser. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 8 is to approve new courses, music theory for high school and study of rock music, also for, I'm assuming, both high schools.
Correct, Mr. President, members of the board. This is giving our students an opportunity to have more classes towards their fine arts. I do have one of the teachers is waiting if you have any questions about that.
I have a question. So music theory is, I'm sorry.
Mrs. Shumway, we'll pause while Mr. Pope brings the teacher into our meeting here. He's in a waiting room, a Zoom waiting room. Or she. Looks like.
She is
Shannon.
in there right now. I don't know if he showed up.
Okay. So Miss Bascom, who's the Lee Williams High School band and marching band. There she is. Hi, Miss Bascom. Okay, Miss Shumway, go ahead.
So she's connecting to audio. I don't know if she can hear. Hi. Can you hear? There we go. Hello.
Shannon, you'll have to take yourself off mute. There you go.
Yes. Is it working? It should be.
Yep.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
So my only question was related to the credit. So music theory has 1 credit listed, and then study of rock is half credit.
Yes. I had proposed music theory, and Mr. Dan Hunter, who is the choir director for both Kingman High School and Lee Williams, proposed the history of rock.
Okay, so the music theory is intended to be a 2-semester sequence?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And typically there's like an A, B, or music theory 1, music theory 2. Is that the intent?
Yes, yes. Once this gets approved, then we put the A and the B on it.
Okay. That was really my only question. Didn't mean to.
Mr.
Oh, that's okay.
Joined us if you have anything for any questions about the study of rock music.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a question about it. I think it sounds fun.
Okay, no other questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Weiser, second by Ms. Shumway. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Item 9 is the first reading for a change in policy, JKE, expulsion of students.
Right. Dr. Lucero and members of the board, we discussed this in the last board meeting where we mentioned the reading of policy changes. So as you will recall, when we're looking at expulsions, we added that piece. We changed it a little bit about the application for admittance shall occur no less than 9 months after the date of the expulsion and at governing board discretion. So we took out that whole semester piece and then added the at governing board discretion. So this is just the first reading.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments?
Nope, perfect.
Awesome. Item 10 is to approve. I'm sorry? Ms.
I just said
Weiser,
look
did you have a
good.
question?
Oh, I think you're just a tiny bit delayed, Beth. So we'll look at you and pause before we.
I've been getting better at that. So sorry, Beth.
It's okay.
Is to approve the annual requirement of 15-905G for budget reconciliation. Mr. Sherman.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is that annual requirement that allows us to overspend sections of the budget as long as we don't overspend the entire budget.
I will make the motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Awesome. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 11, approve recommendation to renew district RFP 19-0624 for auditing services to Dobrich and Company PC, year 2 of a 5-year renewal. Mr. Sherman.
As the item says, this is our auditing firm. This will be going into our 7th year with them. We spend about $65,000 to $70,000 annually. And again, this is, I think, year 2 of our 5-year deal. And I go into as much detail as you guys want.
Approve.
Sorry.
That's okay. Motion by Ms. Weiser
I will second.
and second by Ms. Shumway. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 12, approve recommendation to renew district IFB 18-0323 for off-site fueling stations to Texmo Oil Company, year 3 of a 5-year renewal. Mr. Sherman.
Again, as the item says, this is just the renewal of an agreement we made 3 years ago. This continues on. We spend $50,000 to $100,000 a year, depending on the year, for all the products we buy through this.
Thank you. Any questions or a motion?
Waiting on Beth.
Make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
I'm going to alternate with you.
Okay, the next one's mine.
No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 13, approve recommendation to renew district IFB 18-0523 for t-shirts and related items to Lease uniforms and embroidery, year 3 of a 5-year renewal.
About 90% of our purchases of shirts and whatnot within the district come through Lease, and it has been for nearly a decade, if not more. So this just renews the current agreement.
I will make the motion to approve.
I will second it.
We have a motion and second by Ms. Weiser. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 14, approve recommendation to renew district IFB 18-0323 for off-site fueling stations to Kingman Gas Card, year 3 of a 5-year renewal.
Mr. President, members of the board, this renewal, this is where we buy all of our gas. The buses, we fuel the buses, we fuel all of our white fleet. It's done through cards that are throughout the district with multiple staff members. So I'll take any questions. And this is the big one that we spend nearly $500,000 with every year. The Texmo, we really do keep at around $50,000. It's just oil products, basically. So.
Any questions or a motion for Mr. Sherman?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second by Ms. Shumway. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 15, approve recommendation to renew district RFP 17-0123 for leased wide area network to all types business services, year 3 of a 5-year renewal.
Mr. President, members of the board, this basically pays for the fiber within our local area outside of Mount Tipton. This agreement was put in place last year and you approved it, and this is just year 2, about $100K per year for that. Mr. Robbie can speak up if I'm missing something.
I will make the motion to approve.
I will second it.
Motion by Ms. Shumway, second by Ms. Weiser. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 16, approve recommendation to continue services with ETC year 1 of a 5-year agreement.
This is the agreement that lets us use Synergy, where we keep all of our student data and do all of our reporting to the state. So it says year 1 because it's a new agreement, but it's something that's been in place for years and years.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 17, approve revision to the district's employee handbook section related to the reimbursement of unused sick leave, I guess, for employees leaving the district.
Yeah. Did I say unused sick leave? So this one is not housekeeping. This is a new item. It's been about a year in the works, kind of just with discussions with Meet and Confer. There's been talks for years about us moving off of the old policy, which did a by day basis and had a split for whether you were here in 2006 or whether you weren't here in 2006. And so through all of that, we've come to an agreement with Meet and Confer and all of the people at their staff that weighed in, all the people at the schools that weighed in on this proposal as well, that we would switch to an hourly basis. We would extend more of the time. They'd be allowed to take more time at the end of the day, but we did reduce the amounts a little bit. So in the long haul, it's a little bit less expensive for the district, but in order to not really pull the rug out from any employees, we put a little grandfather clause in there for the first 2 years that if you retire in these next 2 years of this policy, you can choose between which one you get paid out at, whatever's more beneficial to you. But then after 2 years, it would be just the hourly basis moving forward. So I don't take any. And also at the end, I put like a truncated version of the current rule. There's more to it than that, but that's kind of an example of how it's a little bit convoluted and a little bit antiquated.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's more in line with our 4-day work week and how we are trying to track time that way.
I remember we had some discussion about this at a workshop.
Yes. See, and I'll tell you, that discussion had me so confused as to whether I'd actually brought this to you before. So I had to ask several people, like, please tell me I didn't take this already, and I hadn't. But yeah, we discussed it. I like to kind of prep you guys when we're working on bigger things like this.
And Mr. Sherman, can you just discuss the difference in the hourly rates from certified versus classified?
You want to talk about it?
I mean, what's the reasoning?
Well, traditionally, and how the procedure has been written, is it really benefits our certificated employees. There's been in our classified employees, there's much more turnover there, and we're always trying to find ways to keep our certificated employees as long as possible, right? The retention in that area. And so I kind of just piggyback that idea off of what has been in the district since I got here. Not that classified is a less than, but that the benefits of being certified in this district are lucrative.
It correlates to a salary as well, correct, Mr. Sherman?
Yeah, it's more in line with what people are paid.
Okay.
Most of our classified people are hourly and aren't paid as much as the teachers or any of the other people with certificates.
Okay.
I guess just really quick, there was a piece of contention. I hate to point this out, but there was some contention in the area of whether or not when you'd been here less than 10 years, that you had to, that last year you were with us, you couldn't use 30 hours in either of those last 2 semesters. So there's been some people saying they didn't like that, but I kept it in from the past. But I think it'd be remiss if I didn't point that out to you, that did have some debate.
Okay. Do we have a motion or any other questions for Mr. Sherman?
Seeing how this has gone through the ringer quite a bit and has had input from all the different stakeholders, I'd like to move to approve this.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Weiser. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Shumway. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thanks, Mr. Sherman.
Thank you.
Item 18, approved plan to provide an additional 20 hours of sick leave to new teachers upon hire.
So with this item, it didn't go as much through the ringer as the other one. I think it was a good idea where it started, and it did start in meet and confer. But the idea is that a lot of new teachers come to us straight out of college, and they get in the classrooms and they get sick really quickly. And so what this does is it opens up some sick leave for our new teachers only, and it gives them access to it. So if they come to our district and get sick, they can get a couple days off. They can get a couple days of leave off. I'm so sorry.
That made my night.
Okay. I thought you were getting attacked.
This is,
Okay.
I think that's great. I think that this is so true, and I appreciate that we're thinking about their health. So I will make the motion to approve this.
We have a motion. Do we have a
And
second?
I will second it.
And a second by Ms. Weiser. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 19, approve recommendation to approve contract with Frontier Communications to provide a lease-wide area network for Mount Tipton only. This is year one of a 3-year contract.
This contract was procured through our E-rate consultants with the help of IT. I mean, they were at the head of all this, but it's essentially the same as the Altice contract, except for that this is for help me, for Mount Tipton only. I'm sorry. It'll be the only. It's been a hard switch. Frontier used to be our provider. Now they're only going to be our provider at Mount Tipton. Otherwise, it's going to be Sublink in this Altice. And so sorry about that, but it's the same thing, just for Tipton.
Okay.
It confuses me.
Any discussions?
I'll make the motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
A second.
Second by Ms. Shumway. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 20, review ASBA 2020 political agenda and reaffirm the board's top 5 priorities. I'm assuming this is Mrs. Weiser's, or it is now.
This is it. Thank you. Did you any of you get my email right before the Zoom that gives us the political agenda, or get a chance to look at it?
No.
I'm looking at my email right now, and I don't see it.
Okay, I had asked Star to send it, but so that we were doing it correctly instead of my sending it individually. I don't know if Star sees it or not.
Yeah, I have it. It's a forwarded message from Star.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and it gives you the address to click on. My internet's really bad, so it's not. I couldn't load the actual document. But this is what every year ASBA goes through the political agenda for our representation at the legislature, and how we as collective board members all across the state are members of ASBA, and how we want the legislature to move forward for public schools. I looked through the document, and there weren't many changes from a year ago, and it all looked just fine. You know, it has to be ambiguous enough to cover everybody's things, because it's for the whole state. So, but we need to go ahead and agree if there's anything that we want to add to it or change, or our top 5 recommendations, or Dr. Lucero, as president, you could determine somebody to go ahead and just do it, since we don't have action on this item, but it has to be done this month as far as sending it into ASBA.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
Jen
document,
turned it in last year.
Yeah,
I
I think it's the same. Not much has changed. So I'd be
Right.
fine with just reaffirming.
So we could, right, I agree. And the 5 that we had picked last year, and Jen, what you had submitted to ASBA, correct?
Yeah.
Last year. Yeah, I agree. And I would suggest she can go ahead and do that again this year.
Yeah, I'll have to get that email with those 5 items because I did not get. There we go. I just saw a new one from. Wait a minute. Calendar link.
It has the whole thing.
You have to click on the link.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Now that's the full political agenda for the year and for the state.
Okay.
For that ASBA represented. Our top 5 we had in our minutes from last year, or at least in our documents that we were working with,
Mm-hmm.
you and I.
Yeah.
So if you haven't thrown them away, I mean.
Hopefully they're in the official minutes, so I'll be able to find them there.
Yeah. So Ms. Shumley, you can submit those or
Yep.
give them to Beth. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay. Item 21 is to approve the listed donations.
We're always grateful for the donations, but Jen, it's your turn.
Wow. Yes, sorry. I was just looking over them. $645 for a hydration station. Thank you. I will make the motion to approve with our deepest gratitude. Thank you.
I'll second that.
To have a motion and a second and lots of thanks. No further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0. So I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
And second by Ms. Shumway. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.